it goes back to your motivation as well. Because sometimes when people are saying something, they just want to be socially accepted as opposed to reaching their goal, accomplishing what they wanted. Because I don't think that you were being the yes man because you wanted to impress everybody. You didn't want everybody. You did want to impress them, but you had an intrinsic value for what you wanted to do, because this was your goal. This is your passion. This is the reason you're here, is because you want to be here, and not because I want people to see me here. I want people to look at me because look at me, guys. I'm at the Super Bowl. Fucking cool. But that's not the intrinsic motivation. Is I'm at the fucking Super Bowl. This is fucking, it's in you. We can just start rolling, because I'm sure we're going to talk, so we might as well just start talking, right? Get it going. Anyway,
we introduce each other, so
yeah. So introduce yourself. I'll introduce myself, and then we'll keep it rolling. Because I was watching actually one of your podcasts earlier with Ray Jazz talking about pro wrestling, because I had to watch the pro wrestling stuff.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty good, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, thank you, actually. So my name's Alex Secchia. For the audience watching, I actually started my podcast almost a year ago. It's October 10th, so November 27th or 26th is when I really started Prime Media, the podcast name.
Right.
I'm still a little shaky on it, but so a year ago, Ray Jazz was like the first official guest. Like at the beginning of the thing, you see me like going left and right with the computer's like,
yep,
this isn't working as I thought. Because once almost like you were talking with the lighting, like you never know how wild it is. When I sat down and Ray was here, Nick's here, Ray's cousin's here, I'm like, okay, cool, hit play. This is good. No, then OBS wasn't working at first. I was like,
yeah. I still have problems with OBS.
Yes. Like for the viewers, they don't see the problem. They just see me looking like an idiot. But I'm looking at my screen over here, and Ray, all my cameras are turned on. But Ray's is on, but his camera's black. So if I jump to his camera, you wouldn't see Ray. You hear him talking.
You won't see anything, right? And you have to figure it out as you're going.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't unrecord now. Everyone's looking at me. I'm like, okay, this is bad. I only have I have 3 screens I'm looking at. And I'm like, this is why you need like an engineer or like a producer.
It makes sense, don't it?
It makes so much sense. I'm like,
totally makes sense. Because we have like on our normal podcast, and I'm Jordane, I'm a pro wrestler. I've been wrestling for about 13, 14 years now, on and off. Sometimes I'm pushing it really hard. Sometimes, regular life gets in the way. And I've been doing this podcast, which is Spitting Venom Radio. We started it about 5 years ago. We did it for about a year and a half. And then we kind of just went off, and I was focusing. I did a pro wrestling podcast. I did a couple other podcasts in between. So we're bringing back the Spitting Venom Radio with our original crew. So whenever I have these guys here, we started back about 4 months ago now, like going regularly. And the thing is, when you talk about needing an engineer, because I'm working the soundboard here, and you have 2 or 3 different guys who speak at totally different tones.
Yep.
And you just have to watch the board, and you see it going orange, and I got to go over here and specify like, okay, whose microphone is what? Okay, I got to go down over here, got to go up over here, just because like the viewer don't know. Like sometimes they'll notice that the sound doesn't, it doesn't match. But it's a lot of work keeping up with that, because people get excited, they get monotone. It's a little bit of everything.
And then you got to make sure, because if I'm listening with headphones every now and then, if I get too loud, that person's eardrums are shattered. That's how I was asking you earlier. I was like, you can hear me clearly, right? Like it's not too high or anything.
Right, exactly. Right, cool, it's perfect. Cool. It's perfect. And mine sounds good to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just so we can just make sure that everything's good. But yeah, man, that's just one of the things. And I think that like the podcast, did you always like listen to like talk radio and things like that growing up?
Honestly, I haven't.
No. So what was it that got you into podcasting that made you want to do it?
So it's a wild story. Sophomore year, I was in high school. I'm watching the Yankees Red Sox game in Carteret at my grandparents' house. So my grandfather, I call my papa actually, and we're watching the Yankees. And I'm just like, I don't shut up. So I'm talking to him about the game, all the stats, and he's like, you should do this as a career, like sports broadcasting. You should look into it. And I'm like, yeah, but like I want to go for like a real job, because at that time I was like, man, no one's gonna respect a sports broadcaster. This is me thinking when I'm 15, guys. Don't get mad at me right now.
Right.
Like,
it was just it was your personal thoughts.
Right. I was like, if I tell people, if I meet a professional person, I'm like, oh, I do sports broadcasting. I'm like, that's not a real job. But he got me into it. And then later on, I started working at the gym with Edge Fitness. It was like my senior year of high school. So fast forward 2.5 years later, everyone's telling me like, yo, Alex, you have a niche for this. You're a great talker. You're a great personality. Like, get into this. Like, do a podcast. So I went to a trade school for radio, television, and film at the Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting. Got my certification. I used their area for my podcasting because I'm a college student. I'm like broke boy. So affording my own podcast equipment between the mics, the lights, the soundboard,
everything. Yeah. Especially getting that good sound, man. That's that. Right. It took me a while and I built up all this stuff, and I still don't have like the best equipment, but it does the work, you know.
Exactly.
It does the job.
It takes time. Like, I can't just snap my finger and make all the equipment appear. So
that's a lot of that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So everyone's like telling me to do it. I'm like, yo, like, I'm just gonna create a podcast. Like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'll like just have the right people around me. I tried it before for like a month or two. It was okay. Then we stopped. Like, the biggest guest I had at the time was Lance 210, the famous YouTuber. Because we saw him in the gym. He was easy to connect with. I realized over time I started growing more and more connections, and I can make this more like a serious thing.
Right.
I was like, okay, I don't need, because at the time I was waiting on other people. Do I have co-hosts? Will I have someone else to be there? How I can't just do it myself. No, right. Over time I was like, no, I can. I'm just gonna do it myself.
Parallel, so, like, you almost paralyzed yourself by overanalyzing.
Exactly. So on my Instagram page, I made a post. I was like, create a dream sophomore year in high school, started a podcast at 18, then something like that, and got flown out to Super Bowl at 21 or whatever. Right. No, I went to a trade school at 18, started a podcast at 20, got flown out to Super Bowl at 21. And it's like all about manifestation, essentially. And I was like, I'm just going to do it and go for it. So like,
just do it. Yep.
And you can't really care. Like, for example, that first YouTube video, like I said, like, you see me scrambling around, like, that's a part of the process.
Yep.
Little me used to be like, oh, you can't put that out. They can't see that. But I'm like, at this point, like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Because it'll be like a looking back point. We started from here. Now it's here. You know,
that's the ground. That's the ground level. Like, how else are you going to learn? You know, if you don't have anybody there literally telling you, or you have like an engineer working on it, if you're figuring it out yourself, it's going to turn out so much better once you figure it out yourself. Exactly. Like, now you have so much more experience, right? Now those little things don't really affect you so much. I mean, there's still things that always jump in the way. I mean, the internet connection, everything else, you know, there's always that. But I like the fact that, because that's what I did with my podcast as well, because I would overanalyze it. Everything has to be perfect. We have to get the lighting right. No, we'll figure out the lighting. Sure, lighting's not going to be perfect this time, but we got something out. Exactly. We got to get something out. Push it out.
Because if I would look at an excuse not to not make the podcast, but I'm like, this wouldn't be good to make it. We might as well not do the episode. When in reality, you do the episode. There's never such thing as too much content. There's something that's not enough content.
Especially nowadays.
Like, exactly.
Most people aren't like sitting down watching it, you know. They just want to hear it and have it in the background and go.
You're driving a car. You're not watching it. You're listening to it. You know, if you're at the gym, you might be listening to a podcast. There's people like that.
Exactly.
You know? David Goggins goes without music or anything. So I guarantee there's people out there working out to a podcast.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely. Or while they're working. In the gym, everybody sits on their phone or has headphones and work at the gym. I say that all the time. I would tell people, like, yo, like, why don't you listen to my podcast? Like, what's up?
Right. Exactly. It's just something, it helps you get through, man, especially if it's motivating and it's got like that positive tinge to it. That's what I like. Exactly. Because that's what I normally go for.
And that's what you have to do. Like, I realized, because like, one, it's all about motivating people, right? Everyone has a story. So it's all about platforming it. But like, for example, you know, let's say I want to do a podcast like I was doing before, or I had the aspirations to, but I wasn't doing it. You're doing it. I'm watching you, seeing you mess up, seeing what you're doing, your successes, seeing everything together. I'm like, he can do it. He's doing it. He's done it. He's failed at this. He's doing that. A, B, C, and D. Why can't I do it? It's all about trying to inspire the next person. It's all about, and it's keeping yourself going. Like, you, me, we're our own promoters.
Exactly.
I'll walk up to people and they'll be like, yo, how's your podcast? I'm like, good, but are you following it? Like, you're asking, so that means
subscribe,
you know,
comment, share.
Right. But do you follow on Instagram? You know you follow, but you're asking me about it. So like, what does that mean? Do you really care, or are you just being in the moment?
Right.
Do it all the time.
Exactly. That's what I really like about it, though, because the more that you put it out, and especially now, since I started doing like the live IGs, and that's how you and I got hooked up, going through the live IGs. And so doing those, and doing like I started pushing my Instagram way more. I started putting out so much more content. Once I put out so much more content, because the way that my brain works is, who cares? Nobody cares. Who cares if I'm going for a run? Who cares if I'm working out in the shred shed again? Who cares? There's a lot of people who randomly write me, who don't comment, who don't share, who don't say anything, but they'll DM me and be like, hey man, like that video had me going, man. That had me motivated. And I'm like, dude, I see that you see it, but I don't think that you care that it really touches you. Right. But it does, dude. It touches people. It does, and like in all the right ways, you know. Like it's huge.
And it's surprising me sometimes because it's really funny, actually. A person I was talking to, her name was Juliet. Not like that. We're friends. We're good friends. And she was Snapchat me, and I told her, I was like, "Oh, I'm about to do I'm gearing up to do a podcast episode." And she's like, "Oh, well, I heard you got a podcast. Like, when can I come on?" I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." Like, but like I remember. 2 months ago, it was literally almost every week where I would have like a different inbox in my DM, like, "Hey, bud, like I saw what you did for them. Can we come on one day, or can we plan this?"
Yep.
And it turned into another band called Win by Two, a couple musicians, and it was like,
I saw those because I saw those on your feed too. Yep.
Yeah, like they were all like, they knew I did it. They either knew me or saw me in the gym, but they found out I had a podcast, and they reached out to me in DM and it was like, "Can we do this or something?" I was like, "That's crazy." Like, I never saw that. Granted, we're not big yet, but like it's those little things.
But that's what you're doing. It's part of those building blocks, moving on to the next one. You know, There's no telling. The more that you do that, there's going to be more people who are going to see it, and they're going to want to be. They want to, and it's more about like building that community. That's another thing that I'm realizing, especially because we'll do our podcast, but we'll also do live streams, and we have a community of people who are coming in there. Once we go live, and you see people just coming in, "Hey, what's up, guys? What's the chat has its own community in itself, you know?" And we do. I just do my best to make sure to regulate it. Like, I don't care if you want to troll me. I don't care if you want to troll like us on the podcast. But when they try to troll, whenever like, you know, trolls come in and they start messing with the regulars that are in the chats, we gotta clean those up, because it's all about having that positive community where people feel welcome and they don't feel like they're going to be attacked just by commenting. Because I had people write me and say, like, we had a troll problem at one point, and I had people write me and say, "Hey, I really wanted to comment on what you guys were talking about, but I felt like this person was going to look at my picture and make say something," you know? So I think that like being hardline with your community and making sure that you have like what you're looking for, because I know that some guys or some people do like that kind of troll mentality, and they like to do jokes, and they have like, you know, those types of things. And our show's called Spitting Venom Radio, so we will talk about anything and everything. That's the point of it. But we're not trying to attack people. We're not trying to hurt people. The point is to have fun and maybe tell some dumb jokes, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And that's like, and when I'm joining your lives, one thing I noticed, it's certain things you just like, I like to pay attention to. Like, this guy has 11 people consistently in here commenting away. I'll get like lucky to have 4 on my main page, and they'll go and come in and say hi. Like, he has people really talking and engaging.
They're staying and talking. And it's about keeping that and trying to get it to grow now, you know, but it's hard. Like that's the thing though. If we can stay consistent, it's going to grow. It has to grow. If you're going to put in that work and you put in that right effort, man, you have to have faith too. Obviously, a lot of it has to be faith.
100%. And it's the same thing with sports. And I'm sure with your wrestling career, you know, like you're not just going to wrestle in high school and then go to college and then hit the NCAA and get a WWE, AEW, TNA contract. No, you're going to start doing backyard shows.
That was actually, we didn't have, so I had football. We had football, baseball, and basketball in my school. And I could only play football because I had like a lot of stuff to take care of at home. I was the oldest of 6 kids. So I had to be home a lot to help them do homework and all that other good stuff. But, and we lived with my grandfather. So I always had to be home to help him get food ready and make sure that every one of the kids had their homework done. But I was still able to do football. And football really helped me. It taught me a lot. But the reason why I did football was because we didn't have a wrestling school, or we didn't have wrestling in our school.
Right.
But I knew that there were some pro wrestlers who came from football. So I was like, okay, I have to be some kind of an athlete before I get into it. So I jumped right in. And then I started, while I was in high school, my grandfather, he didn't approve of pro wrestling. He didn't think that was a real job. I mean, he's old school though. So he was like, you know, he was a mechanic all his life. He didn't think it was like a real job. He just saw me watch it on TV. So I did backyard wrestling, and he didn't tell him. I hid out. I would go to my friends' houses, and and I have tapes to show it. And we're
Like
brutal, man.
Backyard?
Yeah, dude, we beat the hell out of each other when we were like 16, 17 years old. Just like really punching each other, just like hardcore. We were like, ECW was really big at the time. So we were all in, man. We were all in. And I would always come home, and my grandfather never said anything to me about it. But my brother told me years later, I was beat up. And my brother told me years later, he was like, yeah, Grandpa used to ask me. He was like, what the hell is Ronnie doing over his friends' houses? Because he just comes home and he looks like he's just been in fights. And like, yeah, pretty much fights with my friends. And we were having fun, which is what we do now, wrestling. You know, that's what it is.
That's why I like taking it to extreme limits. I actually used to wrestle, fun fact. I got like a little baby picture up there of me and my little singlet. I wrestled all the way up to high school. Then I stopped and went into swimming and stuff.
Nice. How was swimming? Swimming seems like that would be like you have to practice. I mean, like everything you have to practice. But really, you just have to put in so much time.
I'm going to be actually 100% honest with you. And I had the stats at one point when I had an Android before. Now I have an iPhone. And one of those things I lost was that screenshot. I didn't back it up into my cloud or whatever. Freshman year, I was paid to picture this way. Freshman year was my first year swimming ever. Never did it competitively. My 50 free was 34 seconds. My 200 free was 2:26. Very slow. My senior year, I skipped junior year because I picked work over sports. Wrong idea, but at the time, I was trying to make money.
I understand. I had to do that my senior year too.
Yeah, man. But hey, it's learning curves, and it
Part
made
of it,
me
man.
good connections to this.
But
day
you're
I
young,
still
and
have.
you're
Right.
thinking that that's your priority. You got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So senior year, my 50 free dropped down to 28 seconds. My 200 free dropped to 1:58 and some change. But I never consistently practiced swimming in the pool. Senior year, I've missed. I was like almost like Allen Iverson. I'd show up for the meets, but I was never for practice. Like I was never at practice. But instead, I would go through runs. Like I would run a lot. Like every day, I'm almost running, or every day I'm doing a cardiovascular training. No weight training, no nothing like that. I'm
keeping
jumping
yourself
rope,
moving though.
Exactly, keeping the heart rate up, keeping the body, everything all active, and I would just stretch a lot. My eating was always like relatively good. I was never really an unhealthy eater, so I didn't have to worry about nutrition. But I was never on my nutrition at all. So I'm not gonna say nutrition was key. No, I ran, stretched, and did jumping ropes, and that was like my huge success again. My PRs. I never really just swam. To be honest with you, like I never went to practice that much. But I think
that makes sense though. That makes sense though, because the cardiovascular part that's pretty much the biggest part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got because you don't want to keep coming up for breath. You know, the only thing I needed to work on really was my dive. Once I got my dive in rhythm, my lungs feel like I can go forever. Because I love to swim. I was already endured because I kept running, kept doing jump rope. And
jump rope's huge, ain't it?
It was natural for me. Oh yeah, it's huge. I never knew how big it was until like you do it.
Yep.
Like things look easy and you start doing this stuff and it's like wow, like I'm winded. Like my first time I couldn't even go like 45 seconds. I was
right. That's ridiculous. Yep. Because I would do when I first started jump roping, I would do like 1 minute interval with like 30 seconds. And by the end of that 1 minute, my shoulders are just on fire. I'm just like, man, I can't do it. And then I got myself up to like 5 minute intervals and everything, but it just took some time. But jump rope, man, I tell everybody, jump rope's probably one of the best things because it's timing, it's rhythm, it's cardio, it's a little bit of everything. Even if you watch some MMA fighters, you can see when they have a jump rope rhythm. You can see like they're just when they're moving around, they got that jump rope rhythm.
And all the fighters do it. It's almost like playing video games. It works on your hand-eye coordination.
Yep.
Jump rope works on the mind and the feet. Okay, jump.
Yep.
Jump.
Yep.
Jump.
And it's a little bit of plyometrics. It's not huge plyometrics, so it's not really hurting you too much, but it is jumping. It's still like keeping you on your toes and keeping you very quick.
Get your speed a lot. Heart rate up ramping.
Yeah, big time, man. Especially once you get good at like double unders and then the crisscrosses and like that type of stuff. Whew, man. And I'm still not perfect at it because I have to, I'm 6'7", so I have to extend my jump rope a little bit, or I'm going to be like crouched up trying to do it. So it gets complicated, but you figure it out,
Right.
That's the thing.
Something I have to get back into. I've stopped jump roping after high school, but I still work out. I'm actually on a program. But when I go to my cutting phase, like, or my calories are low. Right now I'm on a bulking phase. I feel like I'm a toothpick half the time. I graduated high school at 147. I weigh 179 pounds now, but my arms and my eyes still look the same. So we're gonna put on weight the winter, and then in the come to the springtime and stuff, I'm gonna start jump roping and more cardio.
And you'll be good to go. Right.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, though. And so I've been doing a lot of running. I've been doing leaning myself down a lot. So I've been running. So the thing is, I know that some of the best type of cardio that you can do for keeping muscle and burning fat is sprints and those types of things. But I really just love going for a 20 to 30 minute run. And just going, and then I don't think about anything, and I just go. I know, and that's actually best for your heart health. Maybe not for your joints and all that other type of stuff, but you limit yourself, and you do it. But I realize that, like, I can run every day. I can do like 3 to 4 miles every day, no problem. I don't hurt. I feel really good, and I love it, man. You feel so much better after you get done doing it.
Dude, that's exactly how it was in high school. Like, there was times I continuously gas myself up. Like, I'll go for a run and I'll start talking like I'm Floyd Mayweather or something. I'm like, oh, this is the easy work. Like, I'll realize my pace gets faster. I'll turn the music up really high. And that's what usually, like, I'm like 2 to 3 miles into my run. I just want to push it further. I'm like, oh, we filmed it. I just juice myself up. I just keep it going. I love running. So
exactly. Fun. And that's the thing, because I was always more of a meathead, and I always did way more like the powerlifting stuff. But more recently, I've had like hip issues because, big dogs, their hips usually go out on them anyway. And all my friends who are about 6'6" usually have hip issues or core issues. So I've been doing my best to stay on top of that. So once I really started having problems, I backed off and I started doing like hip strengthening exercises. And now I'm starting to get to where I can start lifting heavy again without any pain. But I completely changed the form of my squats. I completely changed like everything that had to do with my squats. I always had good squats, but once my hips started going out on me, it started going really bad. So then I had to change, the feet positioning, the way that I had it resting on my shoulders. There was so much that I had to experiment with and then figure out what worked for me. And it took me like 10, 15 years just to figure out the right squats for my body type. Because it's everyone's different, So it's hard to figure it out. But once you do, and you especially if you have like good coaching, because I have like different coaches who help out a lot too, especially with the weight training and that type of stuff. But it always helps to get somebody on the outside to look in and give you a little bit of advice and help you out,
And how does that work with your coaches? Like, do you have like a coach for like nutrition and then training, and then like talent management?
I have a couple of coaches for my weight training. So I would go back to the basics here in Baltimore. When I'm not working out at the Shred Shed, that's like my home base gym. Yeah, and the owner there, Mark, I forgot, Mark Schuler. He has like all kinds of credentials. He went to school for it and everything like that. So I'll come to him and I'll be like, hey man, this training block, I want to do a lot of strength, or I'm going to be bulking. So right now I'm cutting down, but I need to keep my size as much as I can. But for me, like, I already have a large frame, so I'm not really worried about losing too much, even though here I am. I feel like when you're cutting and you're not lifting quite as much weight as you normally could, because you are dropping the pounds. So when you do lose a little bit of mass, you are going to lose a little bit of strength. That's just kind of part of it. My main thing now is to be at a good, healthy weight, which I'm at 240, 250 right now. If I get down to 235, very lean and shredded, I'll be perfect. And it'll look good for TV. It'll look good for everything. So I'll talk to him, but then I have my cousin who's also he's a sports psychologist. So actually he's getting his master's in it right now. So he's not technically yet. So he's working on becoming, doing something in sports psychology. I don't know specifically whatever he is. He's got something specified, but he gives me a lot of advice and information on like the dietary stuff, because he's had different classes with it. The diet stuff, mainly the thing that really helped me was intermittent fasting, because I always ate really well. High carbs is a bad thing for me, because the carbs, I can't do it, man. I love it. I love the carbs. I love pizza. I'm a fan of food, but the intermittent fasting helps me cut my diets to where I have a time frame. I have an 8-hour time frame. I'll go from 2 to 10. And between 2 and 10 or 12 and 8, I can eat my food there. And normally I'll eat what do I have in there? I have cauliflower rice, chicken, some fried eggs, or actually some scrambled eggs, not fried eggs, scrambled eggs. And I mix those all up. Or I'll have like a wheat wrap with like some steak in it. A very high protein, very low carb. And sometimes I can still have carbs if I have it more towards the beginning of my eating window. But the thing that I've noticed is it helps me with my discipline as well, because when that time ends, I can't eat anything else. No snacks, no nothing. And if I'm not being my own parent, I'll mess myself up. And I check my body fat percentage every single day, and I can see when it ebbs and flows. And a lot of times it does ebb and flow. Even whenever you're eating perfectly, it goes up and then it goes down. And the point is, when it's on that downward spiral, you want to try to get it lower. So get your discipline in order, get your running in order, get your workouts in order, so that you can cut that fat a little bit more, because it's going to go back up a little bit. And at least that's how my body works. It goes in waves, it goes up and down, and it stays within. So I'm in between 15 and 17%. Sometimes I'm going down to 14. Sometimes it'll go up to 18. Sometimes I'll see it at 19 and I'll freak out and I'll be like, oh my God, what did I do? But that your body's just going to do what it's going to do sometimes, and it's better to not overanalyze it every day. I like checking that so that I can see the patterns, and I understand, because if I was only checking it once a week, I wouldn't be able to see that wave going up and down. And I would just see like either I would catch myself on a high point or a low point, and I'd be like, oh man, this whole week is a sham, even though it's not a sham. Sometimes it's just the ebbs and flow of your body, and your body fat, or the water that you're carrying, or whatever the case may be.
And when do you weigh yourself normally? Do you have like a set time when you weigh yourself?
Usually in the morning.
I'm about to say, because morning's usually the best time to weigh yourself.
Right, that's usually like first thing in the morning. I do a run. Usually I'll get my runs right when I wake up. So I'll do my run, and then I'll come back, because in my head, I'm like, maybe I can cut off just a little bit more before I jump in the shower. So then I have it right beside the shower. So I'll right before I take my morning shower, I do it. I have like a little Fitbit thing that hooks up to my Fitbit account. So it gives my body fat percentage, my BMI, my weight, all that stuff. So I keep up with all that stuff, and I keep up with my sleep. I'm always trying to better myself at every turn, man, every single turn, and 100%. It just helps. It really helps being able to keep up with it and seeing those fluctuations. I'm telling you, man, I used to have a lot of problems cutting the weight, and like, that's always been my problem, was losing the weight, because I've always been large. No, when I was younger, when I was like 19, 20, I was very, very skinny. So then I spent like a good 10 years doing some powerlifting and pounding my body pretty hard. And the weird thing about it is, I was under WWE developmental in 2010 through 2011. So I was there for like a year and a half, something like that. That was right before they had before they broke ground for the Performance Center. So this was still FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, which was a little warehouse with like 3 rings in it. And it was pretty badass though. It was one of the best experiences for me, because that really taught me the real how to really wrestle. Yeah. Because before that point, I trained with I was down in Northwest Florida, and I trained with so many different people who didn't learn from people who knew what they were doing. Yeah. They were just kind of like, they weren't properly trained, basically. Yeah. And I was learning a lot of bad habits. What's that?
You still go down there now, right?
Yep. I go to Northwest Florida. I go to Georgia. Because I'm from the South, so I have like a lot of good connections down there. And so, I'll go to Georgia. And right now I've been mainly in Northwest Georgia. Okay. But my home promotion down in Florida, I haven't been back there recently, but COVID's kind of messed up all that. So we're working on getting me back down there. But right now, my Massachusetts, I have a show in Massachusetts that we're going to do, but Massachusetts is still shut down. So they're actually going to go to New Jersey and do a show in New Jersey, just because they want to try to keep their stuff up and running a little bit as you can, because, COVID's kind of thrown a wrench in the socket for almost everything.
Oh, 100%. Even my podcast, I can't go to the studio or anything like that. Zoom in this microphone. That's all it comes down to. So
exactly. Well, that's the thing, because I don't have guests here. I just have our regular guys, and as long as I know that our regular guys are good, we're good. Just because I don't know anything about COVID and all that other good stuff. I'd rather just not take a chance. That's the main thing. So Zoom seems to be like one of the easiest ways to go about it, you know?
And I just know once back into the studio, it's going to be like a whole, damn, what do I do? All right, sit down, relearn everything.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go right back into a rust bucket. I'm gonna be like, all right, I got to shoot this off. That first episode's going to be rough.
Yeah, exactly. But you got to get it through. Get through it, man, and then then the rust will start coming off, you know?
You're back in the groove.
Yeah, dude. It's muscle memory. It's that riding a bicycle, you know? You get back on the bicycle, you might be wobbly a little bit, but then it's going to come back, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I remember I hopped on. Actually, it's a funny story. I haven't rode a bike in a long time. Years. And I went over to my cousin's house, and my Uncle Bobby's like 6'4". It's around your height, right? He's a big dude. He's an offensive lineman in college, everything.
Big guy, yeah.
Big guy, 240 now, something like that. And I'm using
healthy weight. Good for him to get down to a healthy weight. I love seeing the offensive linemen when they get finished with football. Usually they cut that weight because that weight, like carrying it into your later years, is just that's tough.
He's trying to stay in shape by boxing and stuff. He's a little inconsistent, but we're all inconsistent in some ways.
It's what it is, man.
But he knows what he's doing. He'll call himself out. I let him be, honestly. I know if I'm inconsistent, I really don't have room to talk about you being inconsistent.
Right.
But he's actually doing the right thing because he's getting his kids in shape too. So
that's huge right there.
So that's huge. So yeah, dude's in really good shape, and I don't know. I commend him for it because he's late 30s now. Oh, I'm getting sidetracked. My bad. But I got his bike. We're going to ride to some lake so my cousin can plant a little trap. He's 13. He loves to fish. He wants to plant a trap in the water. And I'm on my uncle's bike. Now, mind you, his bike's built for my uncle. He bought this bike to fit his size, not mine. Hop on his bike. I'm like, damn, I can lower the seat. That's all I could do. The handlebars, I like leaning out for them. I'm like, wow, I'm going to die on this thing. So my cousin takes me this little path. He's like, come on, Alex. This little asshole skirts by me full speed. I was like, I remember what I used to do as a kid. I'm like, I'm getting old. I'm like, I'm taking my slow ass time. I'm braking like every 30 seconds, like brake. If I go this fast, I'm hitting a thing. I'm falling. I'm busting my ass.
And I really don't want to bust my ass, so I'm way more cautious. I'm way more cautious now.
Right. I'm 21. He's 13. I'm thinking I'm so old because he's.
And you would.
I'm like, dude, if I had my bike, would it be different? I'm like, because I'm like leaning. I'm like this. And out of nowhere, my Uncle Bobby has some sort of bag on the back of his bike. And all these little gadgets on here, you switch the gear and stuff. I don't mess with that. I don't know what to do with that.
That's a lot.
It's not my bike either. So the brakes, I don't want to pay for it. So we're driving out of nowhere. All you hear is a doing. I was like, Max, what was that? Kid starts laughing at me. He thinks it's funny.
Oh, no.
I'm like, Max, what is that? He's like, oh, no. He's like, you're chained. I was like, when you ride a bike and you push, you feel the resistance, right?
Right.
And you feel your bike pick up.
Right.
When I was pedaling at that after the bing, it was like fast. Like, ooh, ooh. There was no resistance, no nothing. I wasn't getting faster. But my chain was still on. I'm like, Max, what the hell's happening? Then you hear the bink again. I'm like, all right, let's get off this bike, dude.
What the hell was it doing?
We don't know. He had to go get it fixed. I just know later they took it and got it fixed. I was like, coincidence. Once Alex hops on it, there's a freaking problem.
Of course. Max you had to break it. You had to be the one, right?
Right. Max is like telling me to switch the gear. I'm like, last thing I want to do is touch this gear because I'll see something fly off and my light flashes before my eyes. Well, let's not touch it. It sounds like it's going to self-destruct already. I ain't going to hit no little flick this gear. Yep. So my cousin goes and flicks the gear for me. He's like, there, it'll be my fault. I'm like, shit, we can't prove it. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I, like, cursing?
Yep. Oh, yeah, definitely. You're fine. You're fine, dude.
I was flowing for a second. I'm sorry.
Yep.
And I was like, well, can we prove this? Like, that you flicked the switch?
Right.
I'm like, wait now. So, but yeah, that was my little bike story. That's been like 8 years since I rode a bike, probably.
That's what I'm afraid of. See, I want to get back into bike riding because I've been doing the running and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I want to do something different. I want to change it up a little bit. Maybe taking a bike on a trail. Well, I remember taking bikes on trails when I was younger, man, I would hit it hard and I would hit it fast. Yeah. But I weighed a lot less and I was a lot smaller back then. So, and I don't know what type of bike. If I can't get a cheap bike because if I do, I know my big ass is going to break it. It's not going to last that long, especially if I'm going through the hills and I'm trying to take it on like Loch Raven. I think they're like over here, there's like trails that I've seen people on called like Loch Raven trails. and I'll see people riding through them, and I'm like, man, this would be fun. But I haven't rode a bicycle in so long, let alone a mountain bike, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the thing for me is like, I feel like I'll probably end up breaking something, if not breaking something on me, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's what I was scared of. I was like, yo, I can see how cycling is a sport now.
Mm-hmm.
These people are this fast. I was like, I'm good, dude.
Yeah.
I'd rather walk.
And you got to like, your reaction time's got to be on point, because you got to be able to turn, and like you're going downhill and you go up and hit something and then come down and there's trees. So it's like, nah, I don't want to risk it. I'd rather, you know, I take more of my risks in the ring than anything.
Yeah.
You know,
right? No,
that's the main thing. Yeah, exactly.
On asphalt, it's over. Like,
yeah. I'd much rather like have it happen in the ring than I was bike riding for fun, and you know something happened and I had to end my career.
My face is messed up. Like, this
exactly.
is my money maker.
That's the money maker.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on. At least do it in front of a camera or something. You know, not out there just having fun. As morbid as that is.
Dude, but that's just a crazy thing. But I mean, it's all about like just staying. I feel like it's all about staying active. Like, I would love to get back on the bike one day. Well, I don't know.
I'm thinking about it, but it's just like you said. I still have these thoughts in my head where I'm like, maybe not. We'll see, because I don't want to take chances.
Going and buying a bike, like, I'm trying to worry about a podcast studio first before I go, let me go buy this bike that's like a couple $100 to ride it whenever I feel. Because we all have that thing where we buy something and it's like, in the moment, I want it.
Great idea. Great idea in the moment.
2 months from now, it's not a great idea because I don't have the same mindset. I don't feel like buying the bike
right. And you know you're going to be doing your podcast. So it's like, what's the more worthy investment at the time? Exactly. And what could possibly pay you back in the future? Well, you know, it is what it is at that point. You're not going to be a BMX rider at this point, you know, because like there's another wrestler, Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, like in his backyard, he has like motocross jumps and everything, and he does that. And like I think he like broke his leg recently. Maybe not recently, but he's broke his leg before just doing motocross shit. And it's like I don't have that type of mentality, but a little bit I do. So if I did, that's why I'm saying if I got on a bike, I'm going to push that shit, man. I'm going to want to hit the hills. I'm going to want to go through. I'm going to want to do it. So sometimes you have to regulate yourself a little bit and know yourself, because sometimes you can be your own worst enemy in that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm my own worst bitch, if you can call me. Because you've never seen me get a bike on the hill. If I flip, I won't like fully flip. I'll go upside down and land upside down.
Right.
So like I know how it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Everyone's like, yo, like you don't know until you try. But I'm like, why would I want to try that? Because if it happens that I'm right, I'm not doing it again. Like, I may not be able to walk again.
And it's not like I've been doing this all my life, so my body's not used to doing this type of stuff. So when I am flipped up over my head, how the hell am I going to react? I don't even know how I'm going to react, you know?
What if I let go of the bike? What if I get scared?
Then you throw your arms out and broken arms. Broke his shit, you know?
He's used to that. My man's jumping off of skyscrapers in
that's
a wrestling ring.
That's all he does.
Back and time bombing, throwing his back 30 feet into the air and just landing.
I just saw on Twitter a gif of him doing the same he literally just did it. He did it like 2 nights ago where he just jumped off of a 20, 30-foot ladder, probably a 30-foot ladder at this point, knowing how he ups the ante so much. And he did it on top of another ladder onto somebody. I mean, he nailed it. It was like perfect shot, but it's like, dude, he's like 40 and he's out there getting it. That dude's getting it.
Exactly. And that's like some things like that's where like it almost interests me, like people's like outlooks or like their mindsets, because certain things they'll be like, for example, that one person that could tell you, yo, you only live once, or like you don't know until you try. I'm telling you, you could do it. Don't limit yourself. Go make that flip on the bike. Will be the same person that's scared to go in the stock market. Will be the same person that's scared to push themselves in the weight room. Or do a lot of different things, but it's like certain things that they're comfortable with, they'll push on other people, but nothing else to push themselves to make themselves better.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Exactly. It totally makes sense.
And I'm just like, yo, like, why is this something you want to push yourself at if it's just a luxury? Like, I get it. You want to try and make a task. That's cool. Do you feel confident enough to do it? I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead, but don't push it on me. But why don't we push something that is more practical? You know, like,
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
People look at that, because at the end of the day, bike. I mean, granted, this wasn't a real scenario. I'm paying.
It's just right.
Hypothetically,
kind of going right now.
Yeah, so it's like that's hypothetical situation, but that's where a lot of things in life. Like people push themselves in the video game to get really good at the video game, like quick sniping and stuff. I'm like, cool, like that's great. Your digital success is amazing, but one, I don't see you have a YouTube channel, a Twitch account, or anything else. You're just doing it for fun and leisure.
Right.
So that accomplishment's temporary. You know, you're not going to be 5 years from now going, yo, I'm so great at quick scoping. It might come up for a 10-second combo and you might say it once or twice, but it's not your highlight.
It's just
it's
a
attention grabber.
And think about the amount, and this is the hard thing for me, because I support people doing whatever you want to do. You want to play your video games, I get it. I more so try to push people to be like, if you are doing that, do a Twitch. Even you don't even have to show your face. You could just play. You can just live stream it. They don't have to hear you. You can just live stream. People just like seeing people play, because that amount of hours that it takes to get really good at these games, especially the games nowadays, it takes a lot of hours. That's just, to me, I can't help but to think it's wasted hours, because it's like, you're not turning it into anything. It's not going to pay you back in any type of way. Maybe in 10 years, you can have a conversation with somebody else who played the same game. But in 10 years, there's going to be so many different games. Everything's going to change so much at that point. You don't even have like a YouTube following. You don't have anything to show for it. And you have but you this crazy amount of hours of you just sitting in the room in your box, just doing it. And I know that people get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But I just don't think that, I think that enjoyment's temporary. I don't think it's going to, in the long run, I don't think it's going to pay back, you know?
No, unless you're trying to turn into something. And that's why, anyone that's me, this is the one thing that I am proud to say about myself, because a lot of people will talk about, oh, well, I do this, or I'm this type of person. The one thing that I'd like to say, because I've got, not make fun of it, but people would always say something to me about it. For example, TikTok. I'll get to that example later. I want to tell my story out of context. But I'm always the type of person that when they tell me they have something they're really good at or they want to do something, I'm immediately thinking content creating wise. How can we make money? Not just make money off, but how can this value you? You know, for example, my 9-year-old cousin, he loves playing video games. He loves it. He's good at it. He's good at Fortnite and Minecraft, and he builds all these things. I'm like, you record yourself. Go on YouTube. I'm telling my uncle to put him on YouTube. He's like, well, he actually likes YouTube. I'm like, right. Let's get him on there. Like, let's make this more than just a digital thing. You know, my buddy and Naeem, he's actually making music now. That's a different thing. But we would always make like videos together. I'm like, let's put on TikTok. Let's put on TikTok. Like, it's not just to go famous or go viral, but it's like to make use of it. You never know what to catch.
You never know. You never know.
The very first thing we did on TikTok has 130,000 views, 30,000 likes, and 144 comments. And it was a simple skit that I just told him to go in the bathroom, act like you're going ready, and I'll come in and take care of the rest. You just react how you want to react. That's how there was no drawn up skit to it. Right. I was just like, no, like that's how I think though. It's just automatically, like, for example, my buddy Nick Renzulli created his NR construction group company recently. And literally, I kid you not, I could pull up if you don't believe me. As soon as we were in his first house, I'm telling him like, yo, like now you need different content creating wise.
Yeah.
For example, people, you like to help promote your business on Instagram. We'll take a video of you walking outside, getting out your truck, hop out your truck, grab a couple things, 1 or 2 things. Then you walk by me. Don't even pay attention to me recording you. I'll follow you from the back end. We'll walk into the house. Now we're telling the story. We're telling the story. Okay, you're coming to work on this house. They're seeing you walk in, dropping your tools, and I'm not looking around on purpose. You just see the background. Okay, this house needs to get remodeled. Then we don't do nothing in between that. The next jump it goes to is you picking that same set of tools up from the same spot. You walk by me again, and I turn around. You see the remodeled home, and it segues to like your logo or something. So immediately, we were in a house the other day, and he didn't even notice me. But out of nowhere, I started taking pictures. I sent it to him. And I just started sending him pictures. I was like pictures I just started taking. I don't know if you can see it really well.
Yeah, I can see him good.
Like out of nowhere, while he's trying to map out like stuff and take pictures of his stuff, I'm like, let me take it of him to push it here, because that's all I think about. Like content creation, is such a big thing.
That's why it's important to have somebody like you there, because he can have, like, it is his job to do good work and do the construction work, do engineering, whatever it is, maintenance, whatever the work is. He's doing good with that, but maybe he doesn't have the mentality to be able to be able to push it the right way, especially with somebody like you, because the way that you have a completely different type of vision. You're trying to tell a story with it. A lot of times, especially when it comes to like people who are more mechanical brained, because they work with more, they don't necessarily work with people so much. So they're not really worried about a mechanic. They're not really worried about how you think and how you feel. They're worried about, is it fixed? Is it good? Does it work? Does it not work? Okay. But having you there, man, that's huge, because that's only going to help them be able to tell that story and make them more humanized. And that's where the real connection comes from, because people are just going to see that and they're going to be like, oh, I like these guys, because it's like you said earlier, everybody has a story, but you have to get that story out and you have to be able to present it in a way. Like Vince McMahon, as much flack as he gets, brilliant at that type of stuff. Exactly. If you don't have a great story, he'll create one for you, like that type of stuff. But that's the age that we're living in now, because you doing that, it's got me thinking about, I have a couple of contractor friends and I see like their Instagram and stuff. And I'm like, man, I could help him. I could help him out. All I got to do is just follow him. And I could just record, and I know him. I can get him joking and laughing and being like a real person. Because if I were to try to tell him, hey, tell us about your business. Well, our business is this and our prices are that and we do good work. Mm-hmm. That's cool, but who are you? Oh man, I'm David. He's from Guatemala, and he has a bunch of different things and a crazy story just with how he got here to this point. And we used to do maintenance. We used to work on toilets together. And now I'm doing what I'm doing. And now he's got his own contracting business and he's doing really well. But it's like being able to tell that story is huge, man. That's where you're going to get a real connection with people. And that's how you get people who are going to be your customer forever. Whatever it is, whenever it comes to wrestling, for wrestling, sure, I got my wrestling, but I can only wrestle for maybe I'm 33 right now. Maybe I can only wrestle for another 10, 15 years if I keep myself healthy. And then I dial it back and don't, destroy my body so much.
And that's what the podcast injuries that pop up.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't ever predict it. So that's the point of this podcast. That's the point of this, is because I want people to know who I am so that they can still be with me even whenever I can't wrestle. Because whenever you can't wrestle, a lot of times that's all they got. And a lot of the wrestlers, that's why, have you ever seen the Wrestler movie? The Wrestler?
Is it called The Wrestler?
Yeah, it was
with The Rock and the British family.
Not that one. It was much earlier. It was like a more serious movie. It was about an old time wrestler. It was supposed to be played by Hulk Hogan. I can't remember the guy who played him. Let me see real quick. I'm gonna ask.
I didn't see that movie. I was into WWE a long time ago. I mean, not that it has anything to do with WWE, but
Mickey Rourke. It was Mickey Rourke. That's who it was. He played a old school wrestler who was very famous back in the day. And then you've probably seen clips and stuff.
Did he turn into a fighter?
Yeah. He turned into a fighter.
Mark Wahlberg was in that movie then.
Yeah, there was a lot of people in it.
Based off of Mickey Ward, but Mark Wahlberg was in it, and his brother was a drug addict who thought he beat Sugar Ray Robinson.
That might be a different movie. I think that is crap. I don't know. I think that's a different movie. But Mickey Rourke was the main guy. I don't think here. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm thinking of a different movie. I have right here. Mickey Rourke, like you said, The Wrestler. Marissa Tomei, Evan Rachel Wood. Yeah. Right. Yeah,
so the main thing about that movie is it talks about the struggle about that a lot of pro wrestlers have after they're done and they can't wrestle anymore. So he's like an old man. He's going to Ring of Honor. He's going to CZW. He's going to all these different places, and he's wrestling all these young kids, and he can't let it go. He cannot let his past go because he doesn't have anything else. He doesn't have anything to really grasp for that beyond just wrestling. And at a certain point, I'm like, man, I don't want to be that old guy who doesn't have anything. I got to build something while I'm still doing this so that people can be able to follow you. And I always liked talk radio and that type of stuff. So I grew up listening to Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony, a lot of that. I loved Howard Stern. I know Howard Stern did he had naked women on and it was very sexualized and stuff, but I loved his interviews. He always did phenomenal interviews, and he always got people talking and being so much more personal. And he humanized people, because people always have that guard. They have like a guard and a shield up, but he did such a good job of being like, he would be self-deprecating, and he would say things to get people to calm down and be like, oh, okay, I can have like a real conversation with him.
Right.
And that's what I really like. I like, and it doesn't have to be a star. It doesn't have to be, it can just be, I just like the real conversations where people really get to know each other, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. That's I think that's how it normally always should be. Like, people always talk about following a script and stuff. Like, it's one of the first things I've learned. I mean, yeah, if you're doing a radio show and sports show, have like a script to go by. But for the most part, I'll have like an outline. Like, our topic of the day will be this, right? And we'll just get into it. I don't like the whole like, it's like, because I feel like, unless you're doing like a 60-minute, it all varies, honestly. Like, if you're doing a 60-minute interview, yeah, you're going to do question by question by question. But if it's like a podcast talk, like what we're doing now, it's not like
this is hanging out, man.
Exactly, because like at that time, like, you as the host would feel rushed, like, oh, I didn't get this question in, like,
oh, I missed this, I missed that.
Exactly. It's almost like, wow, this isn't working out. Like, you might get stressed. Now I'm just sitting here fine, so I don't know what you're going to ask me. But it's almost like whatever comes up on the spot, you either ask it or you just go with it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like this natural, fluent conversation. That's what
I liked about this, because you were like, what do you want to talk about? I was like, maybe we can do sports, because like we've been involved with sports all our lives and stuff like that. And now the conversation's kind of been all over the place, with a lot of based off of sports, but we've been all over the place, you know, because we're both doing podcasting as well. So it's like it's all coming together so well. Like, it's been a fun conversation. And that's the thing, though. I think it's all about like building these things and making it all work, because you never know when it's going to end, you know, YOLO and all the cliche stuff. But it's true. Like, there's a reason why that's a cliche thing, and so many people say it, because it is what it is. You know, we do only get one life, and what are you going to do with it? How do you want to handle it? And we do have to think about how our life is going to be when we're older as well, you know, because the age is going to get us all. If death doesn't get you, age is going to get you, and then death's going to get you too. So, you know, you have to live it, man. You have to go for it.
Exactly. It's almost like, for example, like, well, not even for example, but it's just like thinking about like just doing it just to do it because you love it. If we have fun doing this, people are gonna have fun watching it. You know.
Yep.
If we're not having fun in the moment with it, who's gonna have fun watching this or enjoying the content you're doing? You know.
Exactly.
You're not having fun with it yourself. So as long as you're having fun yourself, everything else comes in time. Whatever you look to have with it. So that's why I'm like, just do it.
Exactly. I think that's it. Just do it. Whoever the Nike exec was that came up with just do it, brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. And then that whole clothing line they made off of it, dude, it's crazy how Nike's a multi-billion-dollar company. At first they were a tennis shoe company.
I know, isn't that ridiculous? And they just changed it all out and just made it that much better. Like, that's a way to capitalize on things, man. You know, like man, that's crazy to think too. Like, because the Puma and Adidas, like the split that they had, because they were like brothers who were like running Adidas, and then they had like a falling out, and then Puma went on and created their own thing and then became their own. That's so crazy. That's so unlikely to happen when people split off like that, and then they create like something huge off of it.
Yeah, it's all about capitalizing what you had. You know, it's all about doing stuff like that. And a lot of times, people don't even need a lot of resources or anything to capitalize on, or make a decision or make a move, in a sense.
Right. It's take advantage of an opportunity or create an opportunity.
Exactly. It's all about being confident. Like, networking is so huge. And I stress it to anybody I know, like, dude, talk to people. When I was at the gym, all I did was talk to people. If you walked in, I'd be like, yo, what's up, Ron? Like, have a good workout, bro. Like, kill it. I'm like, damn, brother, you looking good. Like, no homo, but you looking good. Like,
right. Exactly.
Conversation was,
but people like that. People like that, because I'll go up to dudes in the gym like, damn, man, you're getting big. What's up, big man? What's going on? How everything's coming along? And you just see a little smirk, and they're like, yeah, I'm eating my protein, you know, that type of stuff. But it's true, because that's all that we have, and everything that we do, we're dealing with people. Everything that we do, you're not going to do anything. Even like we were talking about mechanics earlier, you're working on people's cars. You are dealing with people in everything that you do. So it's best to, you learn to network, but you learn to deal with people. You learn how to get along with people. You learn how to socialize with people. Sometimes that's a hard thing, because sometimes people are hard to deal with. but you figure that out too. You figure out different personality types, and that's that's a whole nother conversation that we can have when it comes to just dealing with people. And because within wrestling, oh boy, we have some fun people to deal with, you know. They're characters on TV, but they're characters backstage too.
That's a whole nother thing, and people just learn over time. That's something you won't learn in school. You know, they're not going to teach you how to do that stuff in school unless you go to a college. You pay these astronomical amounts of money to take classes dedicated to that. But a lot of times it's just learning. Like you go on YouTube and type in how do I fix a flat tire? It'll show you, right? You prop the car up with it, and then you take off the nuts. And you take off
and then you have to but you have to do it.
You have to do it. Exactly.
That's the thing. You can read about it all you want, but eventually, you got to step in the fire sometimes.
And I feel like, honestly, like when it comes to like interacting and doing that, like there really isn't a book you can read on it. There isn't. People have written books on it, I'm sure, but no one's going to teach you how to talk, how to act, you know.
Every situation's different. Every person's different.
Right. You know? You can't act the way I would act in a gym and then go to a like your boy's house and, you know, do the same thing there. And you're going to be a different.
And talk to his mom that way, or
exactly. Right.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to talk to people differently. You have different amounts of energy you put out in different situations. Not saying you're being a different person, being a fake that people call these days, but you're just, it's how much energy are you putting out? Does this how much energy, or I guess you could say, the environment calls for? Right. If we're at a funeral, you're not going to be all popping and like lit. You're gonna be like chill. You're gonna be grieving. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that. Exactly.
Like, you're gonna read the room. Like you learn to read the room. You know.
Perfect word. Read the room. Just read the room. That's all it is.
Read the room, man, and then you figure it out from there. And that's the thing too, especially with me, because I'm a big guy and I'm very loud. And sometimes I don't even notice how loud I am. I just get excited and I'm talking, and then people start looking. So I have to read the room pretty often just to make sure that, okay, I'm not being that guy. Right. I'm not being super obnoxious, because I don't want people thinking that now. Like sometimes I don't care. Sometimes if I'm out with my friends and we're having fun, if you're offended that I'm laughing, I'm sorry, but I'm not really sorry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's on you.
Yeah, but if I'm at like the ER, I'm going to be respectful. If I'm at a doctor's office, then it's on me, you know, and whatever the case may be. I mean, those are more extreme cases, but you know, if you're in a waiting room for something, like you don't want to be that, then you're drawing too much attention to yourself. And that's just, you know, it's reading the room. It's just like we said, reading the room and figuring it out, you know?
Exactly. And it's always being you. If you're in an environment where you're not used to, or you're around more prominent people, or you're around like a lot of influential people, or cooler people that you think or whatever, you'll just really be you, because it will attract later on.
It's
that conversation you think about that you're not fitting into, that you want to fit into, will be your conversation soon enough. It's almost like it's not your time. When it's meant for you to jump in the conversation, you'll jump in, you'll interject, but don't just force yourself to do it because you feel left out. People know you're there. You know you're there. Everyone's aware of it. You're just, that's not your conversation. Once the opportunity presents itself, don't jump, like get exuberant about it. Just interject, not in the wrong way. Just let them know you're there. You know, now you can jump in the conversation. Like if you're talking about wrestling to somebody, I stopped listening to wrestling or like watching WWE for a while, so I may not know current wrestlers now, right? Not like back in the day where like super crazy Carlito and Trevor Murdoch and all them were in.
Yeah, I know them. I'm not really too familiar. I use Jeff Hardy because I know Jeff Hardy. I'm not too familiar. With everything that I'm doing, man, it's hard for me to, like, I can't sit down and watch it. If I hear that something's good, I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to go online and I'm going to see what was good. But as far as like keeping up with wrestling too much, man, there's so much wrestling out there nowadays. It's so hard to keep up with, you know? I feel like it's better to blaze your own path as it is, you know. Try not to be too much of a consumer, especially in wrestling, because a lot of guys copy each other, and it's way more about being creative in wrestling than it is anything else. Some people like focus too much on like the wrestling heavy aspect, but realistically it's about connecting. It's just like we're talking about connecting with people and making people like you and making people want to be around you. And sometimes it's not your time yet. Sometimes it is for you to have that conversation, but you have to like, I think that authenticity is going to be like more important than anything, because people can see through you doing that fake smile and trying to be super buddy too fast. People don't like that. That's a turnoff.
100%.
But you get that a lot. You get that a lot.
You'll see that, and if you don't listen to it now, you'll learn it the hard way. Just like, don't talk like you know anything you don't know.
Right.
Just because if you've seen it, if you haven't fully lived it for years or months or anything like that, and you've
don't
just seen
act
it
like you know.
Don't act. Don't
no,
act. You might have been around it, right?
Right.
Like you might have been like, I've been around people who smoke weed, you know, but I ain't gonna sit there and say I know how to smoke, I know how to roll blunt, or talk like the weed life. No.
Right.
No,
I don't know. That's your thing.
In a situation where you're gonna look stupid when the person, like, for example, if I'm talking about weed, I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, and they're like, all right, cool. Oh, do me a favor, roll this blunt while I go do it. I'm like, you're gonna come back to it sitting there. I don't know what to do.
I don't know how to do this, man. Sorry. I'm a
you
little bit of a
want it.
poser, bro. Right. But that's like anything, though, because people do get themselves into those situations where they talk, or they fill out their resume a little bit too much. And it comes back and it's like, wait a minute, you really don't know how to program this? I thought you did. You said you did.
But there's a fine, and now I'm looking at, as you said, there's almost a fine line to it. Because there is that thing, you know, fake it till you make it, and that's a real thing too.
Yeah,
it's
a fucking hard balance, man. That's a hard balance.
Never do it to fit in. This is how I learned it. Never do it to fit in. Do it to create an opportunity. For example, I had the opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. I was almost a yes man at anything you want me to do. If I didn't know how to do it, I'm finding a way how to do it.
I'm gonna figure it out. Hell yeah.
You have time to figure things out. Not to make yourself look cool in a moment, but to create an opportunity for yourself.
That's different, though. That's hunger. That's wanting that opportunity.
Exactly.
That's like, I think that I think it goes back to your motivation as well. Because sometimes when people are saying something, they just want to be socially accepted as opposed to reaching their goal, accomplishing what they wanted. Because I don't think that you were being the yes man because you wanted to impress everybody. You didn't want everybody. You did want to impress them, but you had an intrinsic value for what you wanted to do, because this was your goal. This is your passion. This is the reason you're here, is because you want to be here, and not because I want people to see me here. I want people to look at me because, look at me, guys, I'm at the Super Bowl. Fucking cool. But that's not the intrinsic motivation. Is I'm at the fucking Super Bowl. This is fucking, it's in you. It's in you. It's not that, I want people to see me. You do want people to see you. That's part of the game. But it's more so like, that's a fucking huge goal that you actually want to go for.
And it's super. So, and that's a great point, because at the time I obviously had a podcast, right? Like I said, created it almost a year ago. It's 11 months old at this point. The Super Bowl just happened in February, and I was at that last one. I didn't even use at the time and immediately use the content the right way. I was gathering the content, taking my pictures, but I'm not using my social media. I'm not going live on Instagram. I'm not uploading anything to my Instagrams. I would post like maybe 1 or 2 story pics a day. That was it. Like I would make a poll. Oh, who do you got? Chiefs or 49ers?
Right.
Or I would make like a thing like, oh, look at Al back on stage. I would have like a couple story posts. That was it. No main post and driving content. And people are like, yo, like you were at the Super Bowl, and I made one announcement on my Twitter page, like, hey, this opportunity came through. And then like after that, no one saw any content. It's like I think it was February. The Super Bowl happened February. My first picture I think I posted on my podcast page about the Super Bowl or any content I've taken was March 28th. So okay, not as long. That's actually a long time if you think about it, because that's a month after the Super Bowl,
right?
And it's a month after I've gathered so much content and all the live events happened. Right. It would have been better to do it while they were happening live, or next day, if that. This is what you missed. This is what happened behind the scenes, or not a whole month later. The Super Bowl's already done. No one's talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
time-sensitive stuff too. It's time-sensitive stuff.
It is time-sensitive, and that's another learning curve for me. I've learned, okay, I gotta. You gotta know how to push things. You know what I'm saying? It's the difference between just going on Snapchat and going, yo, like, look at me. This is what I'm doing. No, it's a different when you take something and take material to use it to your advantage or to help grow you. That's another thing I learned. So next time an opportunity like that presents itself, okay, I'm on the ball. Like you might see me live on Instagram and uploading pictures at the same time.
You damn right. I better, man. I better be seeing that shit, you know? That's it though. But that's it though, because people want to see it. People want to see it. And now you're going to build so much more of an audience who are going to know you, and they're going to follow along with you. People, that's one thing that I'm learning as well. It's like people are on the journey with you. You're bringing, like, the beautiful thing about social media. I know people like downplay it and talk about all the negatives, and there's a lot of negatives, but let's exploit the positives. Let's bring them on the journey. Let's be positive. Let's keep have people coming in, because I have a lot of people like doing the workout things and a lot of like the positive stuff with it. So people are on the journey with you. And that's like, oh, I don't want to push it too much. It's like, they kind of want you to, though. They do want to see it. Like, if it feels weird, because I feel the same way. I feel weird when I'm pushing. I have the phone in my face. Just got done with a run. I can barely breathe. But people are on the journey with you, because then they're going to be like, okay, well, if I can't run, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go do something, you know?
Exactly. 100%. And it's wild because, like, if you think about it, like, social media is a bad thing, yes, to a certain, but it's only how you want to look at it. Like, I haven't seen a Social Dilemma documentary yet, but I've heard a lot of things about it.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've heard like people tell you what the purpose of social media is, this, at the third. It's supposed to, like, if it finds out what you like, what your interests are, and it throws you everything that, so you only see this side, you don't see this side, and you only see the good or the bad of whatever your interests are. But your outlook on social media is how you're going to use it, right? If you're on social media just to sit there every day and just scroll through your feed, just because you're
consuming the whole time.
Exactly. You're just gonna find what you don't want or not like. But if you're using it to grow you or grow your business, that's all you're on there for. Like, obviously, you're gonna have luxury time where you just go through, like, people's stuff and check in on other people. But
you support others just like they support you.
Exactly. But if you're using it to really grow you and you know, show your podcast, show your fitness page, show whatever you got going on, then you're not going to make the excuse, oh, you know, social media is negative. Because in this day and age, you're going to need social media to grow yourself.
100%.
Back then, when these people were before social media, there was a different way they went about it. You have to go with the times now. Word of mouth can only go so far. You know?
Exactly.
Because word of mouth won't come up until it's a necessary thing. For example, my buddy's construction site. No one's just going to go, yo, you should hire Nick Renzoli to fix your house. Because then I'm like, what do you say about my house? And that would only come up if they're talking about, like, I want to remodel my floor or get my floor redone. Like, oh, I know a buddy who's good for that.
You know
I
got somebody.
Like, that's only time word of mouth things come up. Or if someone walks into your house and like, oh, this is beautiful. You just got this done. Yeah, so-and-so did this. You know what I'm saying? You should check them out. But unless the person really wants to, they're not going to check them out, or they're going to forget, because it was a quick in exchange at the beginning of you walking in the house. By the time they leave, they're not going to remember who did your floor or remember to ask.
Right.
But you're just doing it on social media, you're gravitating to anybody who fit in that need. Millions of people in this world, millions of people within the state you're in, so many people on social media that are looking for, like, what they might need. You know what I'm saying? You might find somebody, and we live in Sickerville. You might find someone like Carteret, an hour away, but they found you through social media because you posted a thing that's in their feed on what they're looking for.
That's the huge thing about it, man, is people will see. I mean, how many times have you seen something and then didn't think anything about it, but something came up and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I think I remember seeing something on that on Facebook, or I saw something that on Instagram. And then you go back, especially like for me with like weightlifting stuff, I'll see like a really good, like a good warm up program or something for the hips or something like that. And I'll save it and then come back to it. Like, damn sure a couple weeks later, I'll be like, oh, there was that thing. Let me go back. And I find it and I'm like, see, this helps. This helps a lot, you know? And people do that with like, oh, I need to get my floor done. Well, I saw that flooring thing. I saw the flooring thing going on there. So maybe I can go on Facebook and find that company, you know? It's just crazy, dude. It's one of those things that's the positives about it, but that's huge if you use it right. I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in that whirlwind and then just sit there and scroll all day. But I don't think that's healthy. Like that's where we have to be our own parents, and we have to tell ourselves, no, don't do that. Use it for this. And then there you go.
And then it opens the next thing up, because when you see on social media isn't really real. If I know, because obviously people have I have for example, I have my podcast page, and I have my personal page, right? I don't like to interchange the two, because I feel like that will lower your audience. Most people are gonna get tired if they don't care about your podcast. They're not gonna engage on your page.
Right.
And that's in fact, a lot of people aren't gonna care about your podcast, and that's okay, because it's not in their interest. So I don't like to mix the two together, but you know, a lot what you see on social media isn't real. Like
Right.
someone can flex something that's not theirs. You don't know the behind the story how they got there, and
They're just taking a
so
picture in the
much
front of a big
mental.
house.
It takes so much mental on people, and
Yep.
it usually
Yep.
to me, not to that extent, but I'll be like, damn, like I'm not enough. Like I want one day to have a house as nice as my parents have here. Like people come over, like, yo, this house is beautiful. You got a movie room? I'm like, no, my parents do.
Right. Right.
I got the car outside. That's
Right.
mine.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
it's like I want to do something. I'm like, how long am I going to do this? Am I going to be enough? Like, no.
And that's a huge
Living
thing,
your
though.
means, you do what you want. You live your life the way you want to. Because at the end of the day, no one's paying your bills for you. No one's doing anything for you, so they can't tell you what's right for you unless you're happy.
Exactly. You need to know it. The only one who can figure that out is you. You figure out your own happiness. You figure out your own goals. You figure out your own motivations. You figure out what works for you. I think that's a good spot to end it at, because I think we've been going for an hour and a half, maybe almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, man,
we're going for a little bit. This was fucking awesome, though, dude. I had a blast doing this. We definitely got to do this more often, because I think that we can just take a subject and just fucking roll with it, and we'll just have fun, man.
And
this was great, though.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Put over your stuff one more time before we jump out of here.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Alex_Seccia, SECCIA. My podcast, Prime Media, PR1ME Media, no spaces, on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find me there, YouTube, Prime Media as well, with one space, PR1ME Media. And thank you again, my man. Thank you.
Let's all try to support each other. I'm Jordane, Spitting Venom Radio. You guys know that and all that other good stuff. So anyway, brother, you take care, man, and I'll talk to you later on, all right?
You too, brother. Thank you.